So I'm going to move to our next question. How do you ask a person about their identity? And I would say, how do you ask? You simply ask them. And I think that it's one of those, not because you want to know in order for you to understand them better, but it's because, again, that fear of misgendering, or if they use a specific set of pronouns, that you want to make sure that you address them how they want to be addressed. And so I think people will understand that when you ask what are your pronouns and things of that nature, because you want to get a sense of how to identify them and not to misidentify them. And I think that we get so consumed with the thought of offending that that question there is already not answered, and we begin to assume, and then that relationship or that potential relationship or partnership or whatever ship it is becomes compromised because of that fear of not doing the work before when you could have done it. And it's just a simple question. If you want to know a person's pronouns, you can simply ask those pronouns, and people know that. People understand that, and that is something that is being done within multiple communities at this point. People are getting with it. And so I wouldn't be afraid to ask that question. It's by getting to know people and having a relationship with them and building that rapport that you will get a lot more of that information. But when you're seeking that information only because you feel like you need to connect, there are other ways to connect. And I don't think that is something that you need to know. You don't need to know if somebody is gay. You don't need to know if somebody is bisexual in order for you to help them and gain resources and get resources from them. But what you do need to know is how they want to be addressed. What is the name that they use and their name and use? Those things do help because you're communicating after that particular initial conversation, and you want to make sure that you address them how they want to be addressed.
I'm a big fan of saying, ask if you can ask a question. May I ask you a question about your pronouns? So you immediately give the person an opportunity to say, yes, you can ask me a question, or no. You give them an opportunity then that they don't have to be on demand for you, right? That they don't have to be your educator in that moment. So it could be about their pronouns. It could be, may I ask you about your language of origin, right? So it's, may I ask you? And if the person says no, you honor their perspective, you honor their opinion and their desire not to engage in the conversation at that moment. And by and large, the person will appreciate that. I do not know anyone, back to pronouns, I don't know anyone who has ever been upset because someone has asked them what pronouns they use, just as a highlighting that. Asking before you ask the question helps because it doesn't put the person like on the spot and you're demanding information from them. It can be really, really helpful. There are multiple ways to get at that. One of the other ways that I would highlight is that you can recognize or honor assumptions that you have made. So put those right out front. I assume that you were Hispanic because you are Latino. Are you? Right? So you're putting your assumption right out there. And that requires, I think, leaning into some of that vulnerable space, some of that brave space that Deejay mentioned earlier. But that can be really helpful. So you're acknowledging assumptions that you made in advance, and it's a great way to allow the person to offer you or to provide you with information that shifts that assumption. Hopefully you follow. If not, let's talk.